This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon, Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
A home that needs new everything. Plus the kitchen sink. Life math is complicated. Affinity Plus makes it easier. With great rates on a home equity line of credit, we make tackling home projects less stressful. Visit affinityplus.org/rates to learn more today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. Insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 1 below, wind chills of 17 below. Then Tuesday, cloudy with highs of 13, wind chills of 15 below.
For more than 40 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Szechuan and Mandarin favorites. The Great Wall is located just north of 50th in France on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Jagger. This portion of the show is supported by JS Bean Factory off Randolph Avenue in St. Paul. Only the good stuff keeps us awake.
Hey, we have our friend, Dr. Stately, President and Executive Officer of Native American Community Clinic here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, stopping in here on his regular Monday. Good to see you, Dr. Stately.
Bonjour, how are you both tonight?
Hey, hanging in there, trying to explain to people, anyone that wants to hear, that we are not DEI, we are a sovereign nation. We are a political faction, not a race. And so that's been kind of my theme the last few days, especially with all this funding being messed with.
Yeah, there's that's going to take some education on the president's advisory people for sure. I don't think they understand sovereignty.
Well, they do. They want to take it over, and that's the frightening thing in a sense. Huh?
That's what Trump wants.
Yeah. Well, Canada. He wants Canada to be the United States. He wants to take over the.
Take over Greenland.
Well, he wants to buy Greenland, but his checks aren't good. I hear.
Yeah. A lot. No, I don't want to go there. But I see that he paused the tariffs today.
Well, just with Mexico, he's still he's calling that a victory too. So we know what he's doing. He's causing hell and then uncausing it and then calling it a victory and how great he is. And
it's like
first time around.
He's the senior architect of chaos.
Yeah,
because he's so old. But I'm just kidding. But he's yeah. I don't know. I'm like just shocked. Like I went to somebody came in my office today holding a carton of eggs, and she's like, "Do you know how much these eggs were?" It's like,
wow.
Like I don't know. Are they at $10 yet?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're like Wendy. She doesn't know how much gas is. And I'm going, oh, come on. It's $2.95. Let's get it before it's $10.
Right? Where is it? $2.95 or by your house? Yeah.
Yeah. They probably were sleeping behind the wheel because of the tariffs were going to happen. What tomorrow is when they're.
Well, I mean, I think the big thing is like I'm just reading this thing here. You struck a deal with Canada to delay them. But here's the thing: is like Minnesota, the state of Minnesota specifically. I think he's doing it to punish our governor for running against him.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, but yeah, the state of Minnesota gets a significant amount of its energy from Canada, so
yeah,
it's gonna be lights out for northern Minnesota if he gets his way, but.
Well, and I was in on a call, and a lot of the grant stuff isn't happening to some of our neighbor tribes here in Minnesota. I don't want to get too specific about that because it was a government-to-government kind of call. But how are you guys holding up? Were you able to get a lot of your grant money out of that tunnel when it was open for a little bit?
Well, I think when effective last, I think it was probably Wednesday or Thursday, it was on Friday when the judge issued the order, right? So we were able to get into the portal to request our funding. Some of the funding that we have from like HRSA, Health Resources Services Administration, that portal we did our PMS drawdown and a few of it. Anyway, we were able to get it the next day, but it was like, for 24 hours, we're like, oh, are we gonna? But like the way the fund, yeah. I mean, here's what's interesting. I mean, I think most of the funding that federal grantees get, like us, they're reimbursement grants. We spend the money first, and then we request the reimbursement. Right, and then we draw down what we've spent for the month. So it's not like I don't know. I just like I feel a little bit like he doesn't know how things work, but but was anxiety producing for us was there for a few days where we weren't able to go into the portal and make a request to pull down our reimbursements. So
yeah, right. Like
Thursday, okay, but no, we'll see how the rest of the week goes.
Thursday, we were talking about layoffs here in Indian country, and then we got were able to draw down. But you like how I said tunnel instead of portal? Oh,
tunnel.
Well, and it's interesting.
Very 1969 of you.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I was thinking of the time tunnel. I think you're too young for that, aren't you?
I remember. Yeah.
Wendy and I were watching the time tunnel in New York when we couldn't find anything else to watch. What a great series. Look it up if you haven't heard it, people that are listening. Time tunnel.
Yeah, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
This is way before you were born.
Yeah.
It's probably before. Yeah.
Most of us are born. I think it was possibly before television. I'm just kidding.
it was transitioning from black and white to color, I think. But yeah. I don't know.
Was there any protests on the east side today?
I don't know. I wasn't on the east side, but it's interesting you're talking about protest on Wednesday at noon. Every capital across the country is going to have an impeachment protest, and I'll be there with my American Indian Movement jean jacket and
Nice.
and my red headband, supporting and going out there, because that's a national protest that I'm not hearing too much about other than on Facebook. There it is right there.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah, all 50 states, 50 protests one day. Wednesday, right, Robert?
Yes. And when we were talking earlier, I was confused about Wednesday and Tuesday, but no.
Oh.
But yeah.
I'm like, wait, I don't know what day.
Yeah, it is Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday it'll be at the Minnesota State Capitol. It'll be in every state at every state capitol building, and starting at noon Wednesday, the 5th.
Wow, that's
it's the beginning of pushback, and all these things that were done nationally. The House and the Senate were, not in session, so they had their chance to shock and awe and with no response and no pushback. So we really need to talk to our politicians, Democrat and Republican, and speak our minds to them. And that's one of the things our listeners can do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that how you got a significant number of young voters and those kinds of folks who are from the Republican Party who sort of and even Democrats or independents kind of swung in his direction. But I'm curious to see what will happen when those young folks and all those people who sort of thought that that he was going to do things to lower the cost of their groceries and make gas affordable, housing affordable, all these things. Tariffs are going to make all those things go up significantly, and they, hopefully they wake up.
Well, I've seen some TikToks, and when Wendy jumps on, she has a story of an Uber driver that's very upset that she voted for him. So there is pushback, but we also have the Kool-Aid drinkers out there that's saying, we're going to go through some pain, and that's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it is every decision you have has a consequence. That's what I tell my kids all the time. So if you don't study, if you don't do your due diligence, and you make a poor decision, you got to live with the consequence. So if you're somebody who voted for him, live with the consequence and cry while you're eating your $100 eggs.
Right on. We'll be right back. Native Roots Radio. Ooh.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, this is Ken Hageland, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, inviting you to listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Yes, they do. Hey, we're here with Dr. Stately, President and Executive Officer of Native American Community Clinic here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and we're just talking about some fun stuff here. But Dr. Stately, we had to cut you off here for a commercial. Do you want to finish that thought about $10 eggs and what's going on there?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I was just saying that, people. I'm praying that people wake up, because the significant number of people who voted for him, I think, have their head in the sand most of the time. I've talked to a couple of people who are like relatives and friends who, like, they didn't want to vote for. I can't even. I mean, I'm befuddled because I want to talk about like what I think is a really not spoken a whole lot about thing, but I'm too hot about it right now. I'll probably is your producer's finger on his button? Like,
yeah, he's we got a 7-second delay, so you're good. Back at the mothership, we'll give Patrick a forewarning there. Patrick,
like
Bobby Wilson,
some expletives here.
Be like Bobby Wilson being on. We always have to be careful.
I'm I cannot believe the stupidity of human beings sometimes. It really does. One of the things I will tell you is that, I can't believe that people didn't understand, did they not reflect on his first 4 years in office? Did they not spend time thinking about okay, what would this look like this time around? Right. He did the same thing last time. He implemented tariffs and things started to go up. Right. And
on steel.
Yeah. Right. And, it's like, I read this really interesting article yesterday on The Atlantic about tariffs, and how most people don't understand how tariffs work, right? It was actually an article. The title of the article said something like, the complexity of tariffs and why Trump doesn't understand them, or something. And anyway, it was or the problem with Trump's tariffs. And what's interesting is most people don't understand that a lot of the things that tariffs will impact are things like the actual products that they make, or the things that they go into, are things we don't see and we don't think of, right? They used a couple of different examples of that. Like the largest glass producer in the entire world, that importer that the United States uses for glass, is in Mexico. They have a couple of plants in America and also in Canada, but the company their primary space and business is in Mexico. And then I love how the article was and you might not be that impacted by it because maybe you don't do a whole lot of buying of glass, right? You own the same set of glass you bought 25 years ago. But these people make big, huge sheets of glass, right, that are used in buildings and making windows for houses and all these other things. And it said, I bet you'll care about the cost of glass once you take a look at how much the cost of your apartments will go up, the cost of your condos, your new housing, all these things. You'll care about how much glass costs when you're paying twice the amount of money that you paid for windows this year than you did 10 years ago.
Well, a percentage of people are still going to blame the Democrats. It's the people that you're talking about that just don't pay attention and voted because they didn't like Kamala or they didn't like that Biden.
Well, I mean, I think people didn't vote for Kamala because they're just racist and they don't understand it. They're basically they have some like they don't trust women and they don't trust Black people, right? I think
Right.
I think, and I don't think they'll be openly transparent about admitting that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big part of it. It's like, the whole thing about like this whole conversation that people have been having. I listen to a lot of political news podcasts and stuff. Like I told you, I listen to Ezra Klein. Not that I don't love your show, but I love Ezra Klein as well. And then and I listened to all these radio Freakonomics and Radio News Hour and stuff like that. A lot of people are talking about how the Democratic Party outspent the Republican Party significantly. She spent $1 billion in like 4 months. And while that might be true,
Mm-hmm.
billionaires significantly, oligarchs invested in him. They used their social media platforms and a bunch of other things that have a value to them, correct? And a few other things. It's like, so like you're like comparing apples and oranges here. These things are not the same thing. And then the other part of it is also like, well, we didn't really talk a whole lot about the how America has some significant problems with race still, and like the idea, of electing a Black and Indian, child of immigrant parents into the president's office was a big challenge for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well,
they
I remember
stuck in the 1930s or 40s or 50s.
Yeah, I remember the first time around, Trump didn't have to pay for ads because the press was giving him free carte blanche. And again, a lot of this election loss, I blame on the corporate media because of the normalized all his BS. They never challenged it. They just reported it.
And like the big, huge ones, like, I mean, Washington Post, who is now owned by the guy who went to his inauguration and sat next to him at Mar-a-Lago and had dinner. Bezos was like, he's like at the last minute, he used his power as the publisher and the owner of
To not endorse.
And it's like, I think the thing is that there's really like, so I hope that people begin to wake up and realize, like, I mean, I was born and raised and grew up in an era when, I read like 1984, and all of these like dystopian and sort of like, and I was raised at the time that, the civil rights movement was active. I was born and raised during that time. My family was very involved in like AIM and protestation and all these other things. It's like, as a child, I was very aware. And as a young person, I was very aware of just, of how things worked and didn't work, and how wealth kept poor people more and more disadvantaged because it kept them wealthy. Like, and I think what I hope people begin to see is like, okay, well, you elected a bunch of billionaires to sort of like help out and to run the country. And they're not going to give you their money.
No.
They're going to make more money, and you're going to have a lot less. And you're going to have a lot less that costs you more. You'll pay more for less. It's kind of like, the package of cilantro that I bought last week at Aldi, which was smaller than the last bag I bought, but it was just as expensive, but not more.
Sometimes that tastes like soap, I hear. But for me, I like a little cilantro.
I love a little cilantro, and I'm salty that I have to pay 25 cents more for it, for less.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, one of the things I thought you were getting at the end of the first segment was that, hopefully it will hit people that voted for him.
Yeah.
You know, Yeah.
And they'll whine around and then they'll blame the Democrats for something. Like, why didn't you stop him?
Right. It's funny.
Oh wait, do I have to vote for me to stop him, or I thought you were going to stop him?
Wendy was here listening, and she laughed too when you said that. Right, Wen?
I think the whole thing is just ridiculous. Robert mentioned that I was in an Uber the other night, and it was a woman, and I was talking about, she's picked me up from the mall. I went to the movies, and I just said, "Wow, I haven't been in the mall in so long, and things have really changed, and there's a lot of places that have a lot of shops that are empty, and I don't know." And she goes, "Well, maybe Trump will fix all that." I was like, "What?
Wow.
Really? Are you really serious?" I said, "You voted for him?" And she said, "Yeah, I voted for him." And I was just like, it took me back. First of all, should I say?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was an African American woman. She had an accent. And I asked her where she came from, and she said, "Well, I was born in Ethiopia. I've been in the United States for 20 something years." And I just said to her, "Well, what made you vote for him?" I don't get that. Like, if anything, I would imagine that she would want to stand with another woman that looked like her. It just kind of shocked me. But anyway, she said it was because he's Christian. That was her answer. He's Christian. Yeah. Anyway, it's scary out there.
Well, Dr. Stately, thanks again for stopping in. I know you got an important appointment to make, and I appreciate you coming in and speaking your truth. Really, it's good seeing you, and I'll see you at the Capitol Wednesday.
Maybe.
Oh,
I'll be there in spirit, if not in bodily form.
12 noon.
12 noon. We'll be right back with Native Roots Radio.
Hi, I'm Mary T, inviting you to experience our integrative Mary T Health and Wellness Center, offering physical, occupational, speech, and lymphedema therapies. Experience our guided imagery, meditation, Tibetan medicine, dry needling, massage services, including cupping and oncology massage. Sign up for our free wellness screenings and learn more at marytwellness.com. All major health insurance providers are accepted. Come for therapy, experience wellness.
Are you planning a gathering for your family, friends, or work? Then reserve a space at the Park Tavern. The Park Tavern offers private and semi-private party spaces, and they can accommodate any size party, large or small. They have bowling, food, and beverage packages for any budget. And remember, there are no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. For more information or to schedule your event, call 952-929-6810 or go to parktavern.net. Make your next get-together the best get-together with help from the Park Tavern.
Your heart beats for generations.
Your heart is so many things. It beats all the time, and it works very hard to keep you moving through your day, keeping your thoughts clear. It's the most important organ in your body.
Every beat of your heart tells a story of love, resilience, and hope. Taking care of your heart means creating more moments with the ones you cherish. Learn more at hennepin.us/heart-beats. That's hennepin.us/heart-beats.
Minnesotans are hardy. We don't let snow or ice get in our way. We have places to go. So making sure your vehicle is in prime shape for winter driving is so important. Take your vehicle to Rudy Luther Toyota for all your service needs. I was just there. I got my oil and filters replaced, and they did a complete safety check to make sure my vehicle can tackle winter. And they service all makes and models of vehicles. Head to rudyluthertoyota.com and use their super easy Toyota service schedule to set up your service appointment today. Rudy Luther Toyota on the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Progressive change doesn't just happen. It takes dedication and a lot of hard work. 25 years ago, the Data Bank pioneered a new generation of software tools for progressive organizations here in Minnesota. Since then, thousands of organizations have used the Data Bank to create progressive change. Today, the Data Bank continues to help progressive organizations like AM 950. To have the Data Bank help your organization build capacity and create more change, text CHANGE to 612-540-0500 or go to thedatabank.com. The Data Bank, a quarter century of dedication and hard work for progressive organizations.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
A home that needs new everything, plus the kitchen sink. Life math is complicated. Affinity Plus makes it easier. With great rates on a home equity line of credit, we make tackling home projects less stressful. Visit affinityplus.org/rates to learn more today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. Insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 1 below, wind chills of 17 below. Then Tuesday, cloudy with highs of 13, wind chills of 15 below.
For more than 40 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Szechuan and Mandarin favorites. The Great Wall is located just north of 50th in France on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, we're back, and we're going to have Wendy come on in the fourth segment and talk about our sacred animals and what's on her mind. I just, before we have an update, too, that we'll talk about in this segment, but I just wanted to bring up what Dr. Stately brought up about Trump agrees to pause tariffs on Canada and Mexico after they pledged to boost border enforcement. What a crock. What a crock. I mean, there's 1% of fentanyl and people that are going through Canada and here to the United States. And he's just into punishing people. And I want to give, too, Haley a shout out. This was on the news yesterday. But several Minnesota restaurants and daycares closed today to protest Trump's immigration. And it's I think it's a day without immigrants that they were, I don't know, celebrating or following through on. I just wanted to throw that out there too.
Yeah, you're right. The nationwide movement titled A Day Without Immigrants aims to show the important role immigrants play in our society and the economy by having workers stay home Monday, closing the businesses temporarily and urging consumers to not shop. That was going on today here in Minnesota.
Yeah, right. And then again, we were talking about Wednesday that there will be a 50 protests in 50 states, day one, they're calling it. So there may be more than just one. And again, there's one of the posters is reject fascism and defend equality, and no to concentration camps, no to illegal ICE raids and deportations, no to transphobia, homophobia, sexism. First they came for the immigrants, and I did not speak out because I was not an immigrant. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That's on the poster, and we'll be out there protesting and joining forces, because that's one of the things we can do, is to show our government and show the people around that we are not going to stand for this.
Yeah, exactly. So across 50 states, that'll be at each state capitol building starting at noon on Wednesday, February 5th, starting at noon. So dress warm.
Well, if it was today or tomorrow, did you hear the weather? It was below zero. I'm going, where'd that come from?
I know.
I didn't know it was going to be that cold.
I know.
I'm wimping out here.
Got some snowfall, and I think those cold weather temps are back. Definitely like the wind chill. I know right now up north is like -15 already below. But MIWRC, Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center, put out a great post. As always, they're helping our unsheltered relatives in cold weather. So you can join their efforts to provide a safe space for relatives and navigate other services. Camp Nino Kazi, the warming center at MIWRC Minneapolis, said that they will be open Monday, February 3rd, beginning at 10 a.m. and going until Tuesday tomorrow, February 4th until 3 p.m. So community support is welcome. Please consider contributing anything if you can, like water, fresh meals, and other materials. Again, that's Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center.
Hey, we do have a update too that was sent to you via smoke signal. I wonder if you can play that for our listening audience.
I would love to. This is coming from our friend Rayette Peltier, who is the communications specialist at the American Indian Family Center here in St. Paul.
Rayette Peltier here with the American Indian Family Center. I'm the marketing communication specialist. And this Monday, we have our recurring men's smudge and support group with Nate Bordeaux, our father and men's outreach specialist. And that will be from 6 to 8 p.m. at Indigenous Roots in St. Paul. And then on Tuesday, tomorrow, we have our recurring Al-Anon meetings, which is the Native Al-Anon, facilitated by one of our treatment counselors, Cheryl Whitehawk. Those are virtual from 7 to 8 p.m. and the Zoom link can be found on our website at www.aifcmn.org/events. And then this coming Wednesday, we have our bi-weekly Wednesday community nights drum and dance with the American Indian Magnet School. And that's in partnership and collaboration with St. Paul Public Schools Indian Ed, as well as Undayung. They also do a craft night there as well, drum and dance and a shared meal. And then on Thursdays, we have our recurring traditional crafting group, which is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's at the American Indian Family Center. That is led by Laura Dorn and Cecina Samreath, who are both experienced crafters. And then Thursday nights, we have our recurring Well-Briety 12 Steps meeting, which is virtual. It is the same link of the same Zoom link from the Al-Anon meeting. And that is from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. virtual. And the link can be found at www.aifcmn.org/events. This Friday, we also have our monthly Women's Sweat with Cheryl Whitehawk. And all of the information for that can be found on our website. Meet up at 5 p.m. and get ready to go into the lodge at 6 p.m. And then last but not least, we have our Singing with Sage DeMars. He is Spirit Lake Dakota. He sits on the Iminijashka drum, and he is leading a Singing with Sage on Saturdays. It's bi-weekly, and it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lunch is provided, and it's a wonderful space for beginners, beginner kids. It's aimed for the younger youth through our youth services, and it's aimed towards the younger ones that are interested in learning how to sing, and eventually you can learn to sit on a drum at the Wednesday community nights drum and dance, and then later down the line sit on other drums. Again, if you're interested in that, please visit our website, miwhwopila pinagigi.
Right on, Rayette Peltier, the American Indian Family Center update. Thank you so much. Hey, before we get going here too, we've had some questions about who's promoting the 50-day, 50-state, 50-capital protest on Wednesday. And what I'm looking at here is, let's see here, key issues, protest. I'm trying to find who's leading this, but it's all over the internet. So that's one of the interesting things. I don't know if you've seen, Haley, who's putting that on, but it's a grassroots kind of thing here, and so we'll be there, and we got to do something, and that's one of the things that if you can't do anything, being there and supporting these kind of actions are very important. People do pay attention to what's going on, and we will here, and we'll report on it too here at Native Roots Radio, Haley.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for more information, like sponsors and everything, I think if you just do a Google search quick and say protests happening on, February 5th at noon at the state capitol buildings, you should be able to find some more information on there too. And we should provide you with more, maybe tomorrow's show.
Oh, now you're
Whenever.
sounding like me now. Sure.
Before Wednesday for sure.
Yeah. It's people are, it's legit, and so we can share that out later.
Yeah, at the bottom of the poster.
Yeah, what was that?
Meta
The
website.
505 01 movement?
It's hard to say. It looks like 5051 movement.bsky.social.
Yeah.
Good eye,
The
Wendy.
5001 is from Blue Sky Social, so that's where I think it's coming from. And
Oh, yep.
geez, I'm a member of Blue Sky, and I got 400 followers now. And matter of fact, I just got to give Blue Sky a quick shout out. We're streaming there right now.
Cool. Look at us.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, hey, there's other stuff going on this weekend, Robert, that I know we'll be at.
Yeah, well, that's going to be fun. Let's talk about this Minneapolis government thing here. That's going to be on February 8th from 9 to 4. And Haley will be there signing autographs, and I will be there shaking hands in a good way with my sanitizer.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Remember, those germs are out there. Bring your hand sanitizer. There's going to be a lot of people. This is going to be at the Minneapolis Convention Center on Saturday, February 8th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tickets are free, but you do have to register to beat that line at the door. So look up. It's called the Minneapolis Community Connections Conference. And we're excited to be there as Native Roots Radio in partnership with the city of Minneapolis because Minneapolis Air, Minneapolis American Indian Relations, and guest host Christine McDonald takes over one episode every month. I believe that's the second Wednesday of the month. So she'll be back next week.
And people can find us at booth 1012. Write that down.
Yeah, 1012.
Or
Like I
text
said.
it to yourself.
Yeah, text it to yourself, write it down, write it on your hand. 1012 is our booth number. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of people. I think they might have 2,000 booths there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then that night too, we got at Johnson Senior High, we have the Enda Young powwow, which we do not miss. And the grand entry that is at 1 and 7, and we're going to run over there and try and get the 7 o'clock grand entry. And it's also on Sunday too, from 5, they have 5 o'clock grand entry. So, or feast at 5, I should say, and on Saturday, and then 1 p.m. for the grand entry on Sunday.
Yeah, the Enda Young Center's 26th annual Cherish the Children powwow. Wow, I can't say that. Annual Cherish the Children powwow. There it is.
Oh, well,
26 years of that, huh?
Yeah, this is okay. It's live. It's gone now. No one heard you make that mistake. That's my feeling when we do live radio, which is almost every day.
Yeah, we'll just move on.
Yeah. Speaking of moving on, we're gonna have Wendy with her sacred animal portion up next, and this is Native Roots Radio, and we are resisting, and we are the resist experts. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio on the
Lake. The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Thinking about college? Consider checking out Minnesota Private Colleges. These 18 nonprofit institutions keep the focus on students with small classes and professors who will get to know you. You'll find students from all backgrounds, and no two colleges are alike. And when it comes to cost, they're more affordable than you think. Find the college that's right for you at mnprivatecolleges.org/possible. That's mnprivatecolleges.org/possible.
A home that needs new everything. Plus the kitchen sink. Life math is complicated. Affinity Plus makes it easier. With great rates on a home equity line of credit, we make tackling home projects less stressful. Visit affinityplus.org/rates to learn more today. Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union. Insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1, U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, and Wendy's been on the air for 9 years here on Native Roots Radio and is one of the founders of the show. And we learned so much from Wendy, and we love the Fun Facts Friday because we listen, and now we're like getting tested. And Haley, you're answering a lot of those questions that Wendy brings up.
Yeah,
gotta
the only
be
one who's listening.
active listener.
Hey, everybody. My name is Hanaji Hihani. That means cares for them. And I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajingo, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. It's always my pleasure to do that. I have a couple of things happening. What's today? February. We're right started in February, but I just want to talk about a couple of things in January that the Humane Society of the United States got done. So first of all, I want to talk about the California wildfires. So the Humane Society of the United States did an awful lot of work helping animals and people during that time. Oh, my notes. My notes just fell on the ground. Okay, here we go. So the Humane Society of the United States, they coordinated disaster response between animal welfare and state agencies. What happened was they got, they gave California a substantial multi-year grant to Cal Animals, and which, when they did this, it led to the creation and staffing of dedicated positions to coordinate disaster response between animal welfares and state agencies. So that's one of the really wonderful things that the Humane Society of the United States does. They also work with many local shelters in the area, trying to get animals out and placed elsewhere so that they could bring more animals in, and they worked really hard doing that. Earlier in January 3rd, rescuers went to Oklahoma. So they went to Oklahoma and they staked out. They were in the parking lot in Oklahoma, and they were working with the Grady County sheriffs. They got word that a residence in the area had lots of animals out, and during this time they were freezing temperatures. So they were freezing temperatures below zero. So the animal rescue team and the law enforcement officials all met, and they had their hand warmers, and they were handing out all this stuff, and they were strategizing on what they were going to do. So when the rescuers were finally arrived on the scene of this residence, they don't tell you exactly where it was. They were greeted by shivering dogs. So all these dogs were outside. They were chained outside. They hardly had any protection. They had no water. They had no food. They had plastic crates and igloos for barrels. If you go on YouTube and you go on to see these, plastic igloos that they use for dogs, they think it's a shelter. It's not. It helps against rain. That's all it does. Actually, inside, it's sometimes even colder than it is outside.
Oh.
So the dogs ranged from Rotties to Pit Bulls to English Bulldogs. There was a Great Pyrenees and several Shih Tzus. So I always like, Shih Tzus, that's Wanda, So
yeah, I had one of those.
yeah. So the veterinarians who were able to look at these dogs noted that most of the dogs were underweight, had protruding ribs and rib bones, and that several had untreated wounds. When the team, they also said that this is one of the most outrageous rescues that they had in a long time. The team rounded the corner and they spotted a pig standing in an empty trough. She looked curiously, wiggling her nose, and the team members saw there was no food or water in her enclosure. Across the fence, 2 goats were paced near a frozen solid water trough, one of them limping terribly. The team continued to walk through this residence and came upon a murky above-ground pool, and the responders waited in the pool to see what was going on there, and there was 20 koi. Even the fish that were in this water under the frozen needed to be rescued, and they even rescued the koi. So not only the dogs, not only the pig, not only the goats, but the koi in the koi pond, because they had no food and the
Koi
water
is a
was
fish?
yes.
Okay.
It's like a big giant goldfish.
Yeah.
They're kind of like carp, I think. I don't know.
Colorful.
Anyway, they came and they did this. So, this is just one of the many things that the Humane Society also does. Oh, this is what made it strange. So they walked around, they keep walking around, these animals keep popping up. You have to remember, they're in Oklahoma, it's freezing temperatures, they're with the sheriff's department. They're wading through mud and snow and it's cold, and all of a sudden they hear hello, and it was from a parrot. Yeah, so a parrot, they rescued a parrot. He was in a dingy cage. He had no food.
Hello.
Yeah, they also found over nearly 100 exotic birds.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
in this one residence.
100?
Living, what's that, Haley?
100, you said?
100 birds, yeah. Nearly 100 exotic birds living in filthy, barren cages with no enrichment. The cages were way too small, and there was one bird, a parrot, that was also found to have a broken tail feather, which veterinarians determined resulted from living in a cage that was too small. Yeah, they also had several cats wandered around the garage and throughout the property, including an extremely friendly, thin black kitten who stood on the responder's clipboard purring while she took notes.
I want that.
Yeah. So it says here, our team and law enforcement officers huddled to work out a plan to safely evacuate and look at all these animals and to get them in, safe places where they could be evaluated, rehabilitated. By nightfall, the temperatures had returned and the team moved back in to get more of the animals out. Unfortunately, there were some animals, some roosters that they used for fighting. Yeah, those, unfortunately, many of them had to be euthanized, humanely euthanized, because they were just too sick. It's really hard to place roosters, I think. And yeah. So it's really unbelievable. The next morning, Jessica Johnson, who is the senior director of the animal rescue team, visited the temporary facility where in-depth veterinary exams were underway. Something that was striking on scene was how silent the exotic birds were, she said. But once we got them out of there and into the appropriate housing in groups, they started chattering and singing. And that's a sign of happy birds. So I'm really happy that the Humane Society of the United States is able to go in. They get tips, right? So they get tips that these animals are out there in residence, hoarding situation or an extreme, case like this, where all the animals that were on this residence were not taken care of. They weren't given proper food or shelter or care. And I just, I don't understand if people are having problems with their animals to reach out and get help, because there is help out there. There is resources. There are organizations, not only like the Humane Society of the United States, but other rescue organizations that can go in and help out. It doesn't say anything about the people, if they were arrested, if they, what happened with them. But if you see something that doesn't look right, if you see animals out in the cold and they're locked up, or you feel something is wrong, say something. Just call law enforcement, because the Oklahoma Sheriff's Department worked very closely with the Humane Society of the United States to get all of these animals out in a safe spot. So I'm really happy that this happened. I can't imagine, thinking about these animals, like how long have they been there? How, have the dogs been there for years? How about this, poor pig who had like no water and was skinny, like how long, so if you see something, say something, and then help can be, brought in.
A big peeny gigi, Wendy. Thank you so much for your update. And also, I was thinking, how does it sound when a bird is happy?
They sing. They sing and they talk.
Let's hear it. All right. Hey, we're still here. We are the 7th generation. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Progressive